All right, the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 88. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much. It's been a good couple days. It has been over 2 weeks, and I will get to the point that the fact that I haven't recorded at the exactly 2-week mark, because this is coming out 2 days late, but I think that was a blessing in disguise, because we just got huge news this evening on St. Patrick's Day that is really important for me to talk about in the podcast. So it worked out quite well that this was the way this turned out. I will also say, if you did miss me a lot, you can always, I know it's been 16 days without me, but if you miss me too much, you can always just look at the other channel, which I've been making daily YouTube shorts for. So I also have like a full video coming out on there. Well, I don't know if it's really a full video. It's also a pretty short video, but I'm putting it out as both a short and a regular video, because it's not like the usual shorts I put out. You'll see. It comes out tomorrow. If you're interested, I would check that out if that sounds intriguing to you at all. But that'll be out tomorrow. There's a video they made as both a short and like a long thing. But anyways, yeah, I didn't mean to do a shameless plug. Well, I guess I kind of did mean to. I don't know. I don't know if everybody that listens to this knows about the other channel. So yeah, Ryan Klinger, who that's me. Been making a lot of YouTube shorts. I'm having a good time with it. I've been quite enjoying it. But anyway, back to this channel, back to this podcast. Absolutely did miss doing this podcast, actually. I'm very excited to be back. 16 days is the longest break I have taken since, I believe, last summer, I would say. Yeah, I think the biggest break we had last time was the 2023 NFL preview, which aired on September 4th. And then the episode before that was Barbenheimer, which aired on July 23rd. So that was a month and a half break for the pod. And that, I don't know if we'll ever have a break that long again, because I kind of got a schedule for this anymore, and I like to keep it. But the 2 weeks, I think, was good, because now we have so much to talk about. We got the Oscars to cover, we got my Dune 2 review, and we have NFL free agency. So we got a lot to cover in this episode. Very excited. If you want to skip ahead to any of those points, we're going to start with NFL free agency. I think then we're going to switch over to my Dune 2 review, then Oscars, and then just miscellaneous movie stuff. I'll have time codes in the description if you're intrigued with only one of those things instead of all of those things. So keep that in mind. Let's start off with the NFL, and this is what I mean in that it's almost like it was meant to be that I recorded on this night, because today, I think it was let me see when I texted my buddies about this big trade. Let me see. It was 6:46. Justin Fields was traded from the Chicago Bears to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th-round pick, a 2025 6th-round pick. So just 2 hours ago, this news broke. And now the Steelers, who also have signed Russell Wilson, play the Hannah Montana song. They got the best of both worlds. I got to hand it to them. They absolutely cooked this offseason, in my opinion. They went out and got Patrick Queen, who I think is a borderline elite defensive player. Stealing him from your biggest rival, I don't know. I think the Ravens probably still are the biggest rival to the Steelers. Because the Browns kind of are, but also like the Ravens are the original Browns. But then on top of that, like the Ravens are usually a little more competitive, but the Browns got the whole thing of Myles Garrett. So I don't know. They're both really tight rivals. But anyways, you steal Patrick Queen away from Baltimore. That's huge. And Patrick Queen is also a member of that 2019 LSU team that I truly believe is the best college football team of all time, or at least the best college football team I've ever watched. And Patrick Queen is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, helps out that defense. They trade Deontay Johnson to the Panthers, and I'm pretty happy with that. Sorry, I just got a text in the middle of recording. This usually doesn't happen. I was in the group chat I was just talking about, so sorry, caught me off guard. Anyways, pretty excited about the Deontay Johnson thing, but I'll get to that later. Right now we're talking Steelers. So Justin Fields is now there, and they got Russell Wilson. I did not expect them to get both. I honestly think, so they traded Pickett away. The Pickett, Pittsburgh, the Pickett to Pickens, it's over. All that is done. The Pitt boy is out. I was completely wrong on him. I was pretty high on him going to the Steelers. Figured Mike Tomlin could make it work. Did not work out. He is going to be most likely a career backup now. going to be playing for the Eagles. And he grew up an Eagles fan, so Pickett should be pretty happy with that. As far as the Steelers go, though, I figured when they got Russ, that was their guy. Russ was the starter. Here we go. And now they got Fields. They said online that Russ is still the starter and Fields will have to beat him for the spot. And maybe that's perfect. Maybe we have Russ run 1 year because he's on a 1-year vet deal. Train Justin Fields for the next year, and that could really work out for the Steelers. I love the fact that they were able to get both quarterbacks. It was just about a week ago. I think it was last Sunday, actually. I think it was exactly a week ago. My dad said to me, my dad being a big Steelers fan, he's like, well, Ryan, what are the Steelers going to do at quarterback? We keeping Pickett? What are we doing? And I said, well, I think they might be in the running to get Justin Fields, but I'm not sure. And there's also talks they could sign Russell Wilson. He's like, well, I'd be happy if either of those. And I said, well, obviously you're only going to get one. Here we are. They got both. So to me, if you're a Steelers fan, this offseason is about as good as it possibly could have went for you, because I think out of every team in your division, you got the most better, even though the other teams both made pretty decent moves. I'm not going to talk too much about, well, this is all I'm going to talk about, Jerry Jeudy, the Browns. I think it's a good move for them. I like Jerry Jeudy. Always the big joke with him is that he's a really good route runner. That's like always people say about him is he's a really good route runner. And I just think it's funny because, yeah, obviously you want to be a good route runner, you're a receiver, but that implies that you're better at running routes than you are catching the football or being like an athletic freak. So it's like kind of like it's like if somebody's like a really good free throw shooter in basketball. Like that's good, but if that's like the only thing you're really good at, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can rock with this. But anyways, I like Jerry Jeudy going to the Browns, though. They proved me wrong about Amari Cooper, so I'm hoping they can do the same with Jerry Jeudy. I think Amari Cooper has become a top 10 wide receiver in the league. It's quite impressive. I never thought he was really anything with the Cowboys. So the Browns have highly impressed me with that. And we'll see if they can turn around Jerry Jeudy and impress me with him. And then the Ravens made a huge deal. They went out and got Derrick Henry. I think this is exciting for the Ravens. I really do. I like Derrick Henry going there. Them getting an elite running back. Did not expect him to go to the Ravens. It was definitely not on my radar. It was a surprise signing by them. You got two of the best running players in the league, Lamar Jackson and him. One of the best running backs, one of the best running quarterbacks, probably the best running quarterback. So very interesting to pair them. I'm just a little concerned. Does Derrick Henry still have the wheels he used to? Also, the Ravens, for some reason, always seem to get running backs hurt, so I'm just a little concerned. We'll see. Bengals are getting worse as DJ Reader signed away from the Bengals. He went to the Lions, which is huge for the Lions. Got to hand it to the Lions. That's a hell of a move. I really like that move for them. DJ Reader lost one of their elite defensive players, and T. Higgins is going to be traded. We will get to craziness with the Bengals in a bit because the thing they're talking about is maybe them trading to Justin Jefferson, but I think the asking price for Justin Jefferson is probably a little too high. But we'll get to Justin Jefferson later. I am saying I think the Steelers got the most best out of any team in the AFC North. The most better out of any team in the AFC North. I really like the moves they make. I think the Justin Fields thing is super exciting for Pittsburgh because he could potentially be a franchise quarterback, and I think he could be like really good. Like I really have a lot of faith in Fields, and I think it could really work out for them, and maybe Russ working with him for a year really benefits him, and that would be awesome. So I'm really excited for them. They did the most Steelers thing imaginable, where we thought they were going to take a big swing, and then they just waited for everybody to make different moves. So then when they eventually did take a swing, it was just like, oh, yeah, that was a nice hit. And it didn't have to, they didn't have to put too much power on it. They just waited for the right pitch, and they took their shot. They didn't, early in the week give up a bunch of stuff to get Fields. They waited out the market. They waited for the Falcons to go sign Kirk instead. They waited for it to become apparent that the Vikings aren't really looking for that they're probably going to draft somebody, hopefully my boy J.J. McCarthy. So I think it's very interesting how the Steelers are the most Steelers thing imaginable, in which I do think they made big moves, but they were super patient and waited for other teams to not be patient, which is how they ended up making a big move, which now doesn't feel like as big of a move because of the fact it took so long. And that's just the most Steelers Mike Tomlin thing imaginable. And that's how the great teams stay. And that's how the rich stay rich. That is how the great teams stay great, is they out-strategize everybody both on the field and off the field. And I know I'm giving the Steelers a lot of credit, but this is something the Panthers can't do. We don't strategize on or off the field. Let's talk about the Panthers free agency. I don't hate it. I liked Jewel. He's that guy you always sign in Madden, so I was happy to get him. The big move is getting Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's a wide receiver that's really good at getting open, but not as good as catching passes. But my friend pointed out that my buddy Ian really likes to look at PFF stuff, and he was saying that Deontay Johnson has one of the highest catch percentages in the league last year. He just doesn't get the ball thrown to him a lot. So I'm hoping he is elite for the Panthers. Like, I'm hoping he just completely turns his career around as like an absolute stud. And I could probably get him relatively late in my fantasy football leagues, so that'll be interesting. But if the receiving core for the Panthers is somebody we draft, like Xavier Legette would be the one I'd really like to get. Really like to get Xavier Legette. And he's from South Carolina University, so that would be pretty great. And his family's from the Carolinas, so that would be awesome. Love to get him. Xavier Worthy if he was there, but I don't think he will be at pick 33. I think Xavier's really the one I'd love to get. Troy Franklin, obviously an exciting player. The other guy for Texas, Adonai, is it Adonai? I think Mitchell. He would be exciting, but Xavier Legette would be the one I really would like to have. And then you pair him with Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. I think it's a decent receiving core. I like Tommy Tremble at tight end. I feel like this is a make or break year for him. If he's bad this year, we're going to get rid of him. I have actually kind of a decent amount of faith in the Panthers right now. Like, I honestly think we did well. We completely overpaid that guard we signed, but in the same sense, our offensive line is so bad, I guess we're a bad team. Like, it's obviously hard to convince guys to come here, so you got to overpay them a bit, and so I get it. It's just, that's a lot of money for a guard. Like, not even a tackle, a guard. It was a lot of money for a guard. So I'm hoping Ikem Ekwonu goes back to being really good, because I have faith in Ikem Ekwonu. I really like him. He was bad last year, though, and I'm going to hope that was the guard's fault, and that was the fact that we ran a backup center the whole year. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping Ikem Ekwonu is still really good. So, Panthers, hopefully we draft Xavier Legette. We have a really good wide receiver core. And here's the thing. Defensively, we are kind of washed because we traded my boy, Brian Burns. My jersey, which was already out of date, gets number 53, and it's the old blue. Is now even more out of date because Brian Burns is now a member of the New York Giants. And the fact we didn't get a first-round pick for him is kind of crazy, but it's the fact the Giants' first-round pick is number 6, and they're not going to trade the 6th overall pick for Brian Burns, which I get. It's just like we really couldn't find a better offer than that, whatever. It was like a second and something else, but anyways. Traded Dante Jackson, too. Dante Jackson's not bad, but he's not great either. It's fine. I don't really care seeing him go. But Brian Burns, I do think is really good, so I'm really sad to see him go. One of my favorite Panthers. Probably my favorite Panther in between the Cam to Bryce era. Yeah, I would say so. I would say he's definitely my favorite Panther in between the Cam Bryce era. Like the space in between, the Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Allen years. I would say he's my favorite guy that was there the whole way. And I like as far as Panthers go right now, I really like if we get Xavier Legette, he'd instantly be one of my favorites. And then Bryce is obviously my favorite. I do really like Tommy Tremble. I also like Frankie Louvu because he's actually good at football. That's exciting. He's like pretty much our only really good defensive player. I think J.C. Horn could be if he could play more than 3 games. I think he played more than 3 last year, but goodness, that dude is hurt all the time. We signed a safety. I forget his name. People told me it was exciting. So hopefully the Panthers are good. But the offense, I think, is getting a lot of work done, which is good because the offense was terrible last year and our defense is pretty good. But I think our defense is pretty good, partially because of Brian Burns, and now we traded him. So it's like, just a little scared. And speaking of being scared, not speaking of being scared, the AFC South is the division which the Carolina Panthers play in. And there's a team in the NFC South, goodness, guys. The NFC South is a division the Panthers play in, and a certain NFC South team has gotten significantly better, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins to a massive deal, and I mean massive deal. He's got so much guaranteed money, it's honestly insane. I think it's a 4-year deal, too. And I love Kirk Cousins. If there's anybody in the NFL, it's a quarterback that you're like, hey, he's going to get overpaid. I feel like he's one of the top guys I'd like to see. To be overpaid, you got to be somebody who is not a top 5 quarterback, right? Because okay, you could overpay Mahomes or Burrow, but I get why you would, right? Whereas with Kirk, he is not a top 5 quarterback. And he's fringe top 10. If you're putting him in your top 10, he's probably 10 or 9. And I really like Kirk. I think he's a great guy. Huge fan of him as a dude. And I actually have faith in him when he plays a game. But we all know he has flaws. We all do. And, he can lose you some games, but he can win you some games. But granted, technically every quarterback can do that. But I feel like Kirk really, really fits that bill. And I really like Kirk. So I'm pretty happy the fact that he got completely overpaid and is making an insane amount of money off the Atlanta Falcons. in Kirk Cousins fashion, as soon as he starts cutting those interviews, everybody loves him because he's just a great guy. I mean, it's hard to hate on the guy. He's just great. And he said on every team he's played on that he wants to retire that member of that team. And to be honest, I buy it every time because I feel like Kirk Cousins type of dude that he could play on all 32 NFL teams, and every time he'd say he wants to retire as a member of that team because to Kirk, the team he wants to retire on is the team he's playing for. And I like that about him. You know? I mean, some people would be like, oh, well, he's just saying that because that's who he's playing for. Yeah, he is just saying that because that's who he's playing for. Because in his mind, the team he wants to retire for is the team he's playing on at the moment. And I know it sounds kind of dumb, but to me it makes sense, and I give Kirk Cousins a lot of credit. He's great. I would like to see him have success there in Atlanta with I think they got Darnell Mooney for him too now. So they got a pretty good receiving core between him, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. And then they got Bijan too. So it's going to be a pretty exciting team. And they got the new coach, who I do like, the Rams old DC. Can't remember his name off the top of my head all of a sudden. And I like him, and I'm kind of concerned for the Panthers because I'm like, okay, I don't have any faith in the Saints. I think they've got a really good chance to be really bad next year and draft Shedeur Sanders with the number 1 overall pick next draft. And then the other NFC South team, the Bucs, I think will be pretty good. Nothing crazy. They will win between 6 and 9 games. Maybe 5. Maybe they win 5. They have a really bad year. But overall, they'll probably win between 6 to 9 games. It will just depend on how good the Panthers and Falcons are. And I really hope the Panthers are better than 5-12. I really do. I hope we shock the world and we're amazing. But we will have to see. Speaking of shocking the world, the Green Bay Packers got rid of Aaron Jones and signed Josh Jacobs. So Aaron Jones is now a member of the Minnesota Vikings, and Josh Jacobs is now a member of the Green Bay Packers. I don't hate this move, but I wouldn't say I like it because my problem is I thought the Green Bay Packers were a Super Bowl potential team next year if they had a good offseason. I don't think if you asked me, what do you want them to get this offseason, I would have said a new running back. And I get Josh Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. He is. But is that really the position you needed to upgrade at? And I'd say the same thing for the Eagles. The Eagles, one of the biggest moves for free agency, Saquon Barkley went to the Eagles. I don't feel any differently about the Eagles than I did like before. To me, the Eagles are a team that will probably be in the NFC Divisional or NFC Championship next year. They won't be in the Super Bowl, but they'll make the playoffs. And they'll probably win one playoff game. That's how I feel about the Eagles next year, being honest. As far as a division goes, I think the division's getting worse. Cowboys haven't done anything, which led to a hilarious Skip Bayless tweet, all in my ass, comma in between all the in and my. Just want to make sure it's clear. He tweeted that out, and I just think that's hilarious. Good thing you remember the comment. People would have not known what he was talking. I mean, they would have known what he was talking about, but they would have been like, "Whoa, Skip!" Didn't realize. But the comment was referring to the fact that Jerry Jones said they were going to go all in this offseason, and they haven't really made any significant moves except letting one of their best players and their best offensive lineman, Tyron Smith, walk away and sign with the Jets. So that was crazy. But yeah, Skip Bayless, legendary tweet. It was funny. But the thing is with both the Eagles signing Saquon and Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, to me, I'm like, okay, obviously it's an upgrade of what you had before. I get it. But is that really the biggest thing you could have done? To me, with the Packers, it's like you probably need to draft receiver this year and a loaded receiver draft. This draft is, oh my gosh. This class's receivers are so good. Like, there are so many receivers that really impress me. So I'm just so high on basically every prospect in this draft. And I'm like, there's no way they can all possibly be as good as I think they're going to be. But I'm just so incredibly high on so many guys in this draft. It's honestly crazy. So very excited for when we do the draft pod. Can't wait. But anyways, that's how I feel about both Packers and Eagles. I still think Packers are going to the Super Bowl, and they're going to lose to a team that I predicted, and I'm so happy I predicted the Houston Texans to win Super Bowl 59. Because, oh my goodness, the Texans have had an insanely good offseason. They went out and got Danielle Hunter, an elite defensive player from the Minnesota Vikings. They also signed Joe Mixon after the Bengals released him. And I get some guys like, well, Devin Singletary had a better year last year. He did. You're right. But I think Joe Mixon is better than Devin Singletary, and I think he'll have a really good year with the Texans. You want to talk about getting a running back and making me feel different about you? That's how you do it, the way the Texans did. That was a move. If the Texans would have got Saquon or Josh Jacobs, I'd have been like, whoa, because that adds something new to that offense. Whereas I don't think, Josh Jacobs to Aaron Jones, it's just like, oh, okay, now you have somebody who's just a little better. Like, to me, the gap between running backs, I've talked about this before in the pod, there's like 3 to 4 guys that I feel like can completely change your team. And it's McCaffrey, Bijan, and Nick Chubb, and sometimes Saquon Barkley. Sometimes. That's really it in my mind. Are there other really good running backs out there? Yes, Derrick Henry's very good. Josh Jacobs is very good. Aaron Jones is very good. But realistically, the difference between the 10th one of those guys and the 3rd is not that different in my mind. The only guys who have a large gap between them are McCaffrey, Chubb, and Bijan. Like I said, maybe Saquon. Verdict is not out. The ruling in the court is yet to be made. But Texans had an insanely good offseason. The fact that they've been signing and making trades so well makes me believe that they're going to their new jerseys are going to be absolutely beautiful. So I cannot wait to see their new jerseys. I'm very excited. And I have full faith that this is going to be the team. If there's any team that's going to stop the Chiefs from three-peating, it is this team. It is the Houston Texans, baby. It is C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. I'm being serious. If there's any team that can do it, it's them. They've got a great coach. They've got a defense that went out and got better. They've got an offense that also somehow got better, and they were smart. They didn't go out and get T. Higgins. They don't need him. They got Nico Collins. They got Tank Dell. They got John Mechie III. I think Robert Woods is still there. They do not need him. They extended Dalton Schultz. Smart move. Dalton Schultz has been really good for them. Smart moves. Really love what the Texans are doing. Been very impressed. I'm willing to bet they draft O-line or like corner, something secondary. And you got Will Anderson on the defense. Like, come on. Goodness, that team is amazing. I'm so excited to watch the Texans next year. I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, over under 4 primetime games for them next year. He's like, probably over. Like, they should probably have 5 or 6, which is like some of the most you can have. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Texas should be all over primetime television next year. This team's electric. C.J. Stroud's been electric. This is what I want the Panthers to be like. This is what I'm praying the Panthers can be. C.J. Stroud talks up my boy Bryce Young. I think C.J. Stroud just wants me to love him because he continues to do things to make me love him. Like, he even talks up Bryce Young. I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. C.J. Stroud, I don't know what I did to make you want to tickle my fancy, but you've been really trying your best. All right, let's shift. This is the first time all podcast I've looked at my notes. I've been going off memory this entire time because there's just so many things I knew I wanted to talk about. I could just roll. Okay, here we go. This is, here's a crazy one. I said I was going to make a YouTube short about this, and my buddy Ian was like, Ryan, I texted him this, and he goes, Ryan, that might genuinely be like one of the stupidest things you ever said. And I was like, nah, I'm serious. He's like, that Jim Harbaugh would be fired for that. And I was like, he's crazy enough to do it. And he goes, dude, no. And then I had another friend of mine tell me, he's like, I would love that just for the chaos it'd make, but Ryan, you're a madman. And I get this is crazy, but I'm going to say it anyway. What if, okay, so the Los Angeles Chargers been making some moves. They now have Quentin Johnson as their starting receiver, even though he was their worst receiver last year. Got to give the Bears a little bit of credit, even though they didn't get much of a haul for Justin Fields. They did go out and get Keenan Allen. They got DJ Moore still, who obviously I really like, former Panther. I think he's really good. They got DeAndre Swift as their running back, and I like DeAndre Swift. So they're going to be they're loading up for Caleb Williams. They're hoping that Caleb Williams is truly going to just come into the league and absolutely kill it and be Rookie of the Year. Even though, if you asked me my draft prospect rankings, as far as quarterbacks go, I think the best quarterback in this class is Jaden Daniels. I think Caleb Williams is second, and I think third is J.J. McCarthy. I know it's crazy, but it's true. Also, I'm starting to feel like Bo Nix is like destined to be a Bronco and not be very good. I also feel like Michael Penix is going to be drafted as a backup. I think he's going to fall, and maybe there's a chance the Seahawks draft him like second round. Maybe. Drake May, I'm just not that high on because I think he's going to go to the Commanders, and so to me that's going to screw him up. I will say if Drake May goes to the Patriots and Jaden Daniels goes to the Commanders, then I do become significantly lower on Jaden McDaniels and significantly higher on Drake May. It might not like knock Jaden Daniels to like my second favorite prospect and put Caleb number one, being honest. Like Jaden going to the Patriots is part of the reason I think he's going to be the best, because I just believe he's going to go to the Patriots and I think he'll kill it there. But anyways, let's get back to this Chargers thing. So Chargers traded away Keenan Allen. Chargers released Mike Williams. Panthers might sign Mike Williams. Might as well. Come on, Panthers. I just load up on receivers. But we should still draft Xavier Legette. Just want to toss that out there. We still need to get Xavier Legette. Justin Jefferson might be traded from the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings need a quarterback. Rumor was that the Bengals couldn't get Justin Jefferson because T. Higgins and some picks wasn't enough. The Vikings said they wanted Joe Burrow because Justin Jefferson isn't a generational talent. Like, he is an absolutely insanely good wide receiver. My thought process is Jim Harbaugh's a crazy man. Why doesn't Jim Harbaugh trade Justin Herbert to the Minnesota Vikings for Justin Jefferson? Might throw some picks in there from either team, whatever, maybe some other pieces. The Chargers get the best wide receiver in the NFL, and with the number 5 pick that the Chargers have, they take J.J. McCarthy, Jim Harbaugh's boy, and rock with McCarthy and Justin Jefferson going in the next year. Chargers let Austin Eckler go. He's a Commander now. So it's not like running back-wise they're going to be super set. And then he can draft Blake Corum second round. He can just get his boys. It would be absolute chaos. Like, absolutely nuts. Pretty much everybody I tell this to laughs at me. I did tweet it out and got 1 like, though, and it was not a person I know, so I'm pretty proud of that. There's somebody out there thinks I'm onto something. But that would be wild, because the Vikings then get a franchise quarterback. They could put Jordan Addison, and they can draft whoever they want. They got another first-round pick after making a deal with the Texans, so they have 2 firsts now. So, yeah. I'm just saying, it would be wild. Do I think this will happen? Probably not. I'm a little worried J.J. McCarthy is going to get drafted to the Giants, and I would absolutely not want to see him there. I feel like that would really hurt J.J.'s development. I think J.J. could be pretty good with Jim Harbaugh. The only thing, like, I actually think there's a decent chance this happens until, like, I should rephrase. I thought this actually had a decent chance of happening until my friend pointed out, Ian was like, Ryan, if Jim Harbaugh really trusted J.J. McCarthy that much, he would have had him throw the ball more in Michigan. And that is a good point. The way Jim Harbaugh likes to run an offense, based off the good amount of Michigan football I watched over the last couple of years, because I enjoyed that team a lot with J.J. and Blake Corum and Jim, he likes to run curl flats and run the football. That's what he likes to do. He likes to run the football and run curl flats. And if it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are you the Herbert coach then? If you want to run curl flats and run the football, and why did you let Eckler go? So that's why I'm like, maybe he wants to go get JJ, get his boy Blake Corum, and just rock and roll with his boys out in L.A. Now he's got an elite wide receiver to throw it to. I don't know. They call me a madman, but they also said that about Tony Stark, and he saved the whole universe. So just keep that in mind. I think that's everything I want to talk about. Oh, should also say, very happy that my boy Baker Mayfield got re-signed, and he got a big contract, so that's very exciting. Also want to toss out Jameis Winston to Cleveland as a certified Deshaun Watson hater. I'm willing to bet Jameis Winston is the main starter by the time the end of the season rolls around. Just going to be honest. Whether that's because Deshaun problems continue off the field or, in the courtroom or whatever goes on there, or Deshaun is just not playing well and they replace him with Jameis, I'm willing to bet Jameis is eventually going to be a starter. I still think JJ is going to be good, but I'm really worried about JJ McCarthy if he goes to the Giants. All right, let's switch it over really quick. I'm not even going to put an image up. I'm just going to toss it out there. Super excited for next week. We're going to be talking about March Madness. I'm going to be making my bracket on the pod. When I say be making my bracket, obviously I'm going to fill out like 50, but I mean, I'll run through. I don't know if I'll actually fill it out during the pod because it'll be a lot of me sitting here and thinking, but I will read off my bracket that I make in one of my leagues. Probably my family league is the one I'll do, because my family league bracket is my main bracket. And then my second most important bracket is the one I make in my friend group. now I got like my college buddies and my high school buddies, so I might be making 3 that matter to me, and then a bunch online that are just random whatevers. So yeah, but I'll probably read off my family league bracket. That's the one I put the most thought into. As far as college basketball goes, this year I'm really rocking with Tennessee. I think it's a really fun team. I know they lost to Mississippi State. That was upsetting. They're not going to be SEC champions, but I do like this Tennessee team a lot. And I just don't want to pick UConn to go back-to-back. It's probably the smartest move, but it's just not fun. So, okay, let's go to my Dune Part 2 review. I will say this is probably not going to be as thorough or as in-depth as some of my other reviews because there's not much I can say other than the fact that it was amazing. And I will say, I've had some reviews that are very long that are just me saying it was amazing. I will say, I can sometimes go on and on. Like, for example, I mean, my Across the Spider-Verse video, where I talked about how amazing it was, is 32 minutes long. And my Guardians of the Galaxy video, where I talked about how great it was, is 38 minutes long. So I have went long on movies before, but I think part of it is I did go see Dune last Sunday. Like, it'll be a week tomorrow. So it's been a little bit, and the more it sits with me, then, I've talked about it with G, I've talked about it with my mom, talked about it with my friends. So because of that, I think I'm a little less, like, amped up. It's like cooled down somewhat from it. Cooled down, and it's still amazing. I'm still a huge fan. But let's see how much money it's made real quick. Dune Part 2. Oh, it wasn't last Sunday. It would have been 2 Sundays ago, right? It came out the 3rd, didn't it? Goodness. Didn't it come out the 3rd? Oh my gosh. I actually can't. Yeah, it was the 3rd, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it came out the 1st, and I went and saw it on the 3rd. So, yeah, it's almost been 2 weeks since I saw it. That's crazy. Wow, time's been flying by. How much money has it made, though? That's what I want to know. How much money has it made? I mean, that's not the only thing that's obviously success, but I would like for it to be making a good amount of money. Let me look up. I can't find the exact numbers right now. Box office. Dune 2 kept rolling. Why can't I just find a concrete number? It's set to top 460 million this weekend. That's great. I'm very happy for it. It's awesome. So Dune 1, I am a huge fan of. I really like it. Did not put it in the Hall of Fame though. Like it's really good, but I don't think it's a Hall of Fame movie. Dune 2 took everything I liked from the first one, did it tenfold, and I was blown away. I was honestly blown away. The opening scene, I don't think they talked for like the first 5 to 10 minutes, and I was still completely enthralled. It was exciting, and I love the way Denis has crafted this world. I love the way he has designed it to look, to sound, just the vibe of it. And when it does that like weird like I get that up when they do the weird screaming in the sound in the score. I love it. I feel like Chalamet really came into his own in this one. Not as an actor, but like as Paul. Like, I mean, we know he can act, but I'm saying it was interesting when he starts becoming the lisan gaib. He does a really great job he doesn't just instantly go evil, but you're feeling it and you're like, oh, I don't know if I really like him. Oh my gosh. Wait, is he not really the good guy? And that was cool. Like to have that in the theater and realize, oh my gosh, Paul is actually kind of the bad guy. Oh my goodness, Paul's the bad guy. And not in like a cheesy, I want, power. He wanted revenge for his father's death against the Harkonnen. And to do that, he kind of needed to start a holy war. So now he's going to do it. And easily, I don't know if it's easily. I've seen a lot of great tweets about Dune 2. I really have. But probably my favorite is this one. And it's Louis Strauss from Oppenheimer. And it's the scene with him near the end when he really rips out. He lashes out and he really gives his thoughts. And, oh my gosh, I'm trying to find it. I know I sent it to my mom. Basically, it was that part when he goes off and he goes, and I know for a fact that if Paul Atreides could do it, and he could put it, he said something like, put it back in a bottle, he wouldn't. he went west and he wanted to start a holy war, and he doesn't even regret a thing. Or they took the dialogue from that scene in Oppenheimer when he's talking about if he could put the bomb back in the bottle, he wouldn't, because it made him the most important man in the world, or the most important man to ever live, or something like that. Whatever that line is. I'm sorry, guys. I can't quote Oppenheimer off dome, but that was one of my favorites. And then another one of my favorites was the tweet that was, you said you didn't want to be the Messiah, and yet you went south. Did you authorize the use of atomic weapons on Arrakis? And it's the guy from Oppenheimer that's like also in Pride and Prejudice. That guy's a good actor. Not Pride and Prejudice. The Great Gatsby. Wrong good book turned into movie. Also good movie, But that guy, I can't remember his name. Is Jason Clarke? Maybe Jason Clarke. He's also in the Showtime, the show about the Lakers. Now, a really funny one I saw was this guy at BNO Walk on Twitter. Said, Elaine's dating a guy who insists on preserving all moisture. George can't enjoy a night with a Bene Gesserit because he thinks she's trying to test him. Jerry gets hired, and then a guy commented, Jerry gets hired to do a show for House Atreides, but the Harkonnens attack before it happens, so now he has to figure out if he's still required to go and put on a show for all these bald weirdos. And this guy commented, Jerry, yeah, but the flight and hotel were comped and they paid in advance. George, technically they didn't. The guys before them did. Oh, wait, I didn't deliver that the way I should. Technically they didn't. The guys before them did. Then we got, meanwhile, a different Bene Gesserit is trying to breed Kramer for his incredible genes. Someone else commented, Newman puts his hand in the box thinking there's candy inside and is completely unaffected. These all absolutely killed me. Those are hilarious. This is why Twitter is the only social media I really use other than YouTube, if you count YouTube. Because you see funny stuff like that. And, for all the anger on there, you just got to be on the right sides, and you can find the funny stuff like that. But yeah, Dune 2 has become kind of exactly what I wanted, where it's become kind of a cultural thing. And I'm really happy. It's becoming like a thing in pop culture. The lisan gaib stuff from Javier Bardem being absolutely hilarious in that movie. Never thought he would be the comic relief role, but he was. And he killed it. And also the excitement I felt when Josh Brolin's character came back. I was so hyped to see him. I think it just does everything the first one does, but better, because the first one is setting this movie up. Is the first one good? Yes, it still is. But this one, I think, is his masterstroke. And Messiah could potentially be the best one. If they call it Messiah. I don't know if they'll call it Part 3 or Messiah. I think it'd be pretty dope if they called it Messiah, but it would be weird to be Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, Dune Messiah. Not sure what they'll do. I do know that I thought about actually reading the book now, because I liked Part 2 so much. And I really like this. I think this trilogy is just going to be so good. But I've heard that he's changing a little bit to what Chani, because Chani in the books is just kind of like, you're going off the rails, but I still love you. And I think Denis is going to take a different direction and kind of have Chani fight back against Paul. Not sure in what capacity, but we will see. I do know we're getting a Dune TV show on Max called Dune Awakening that is about some Bene Gesserit sisters. It's set way before any of this stuff. And I'm not actually that interested, to be honest, because I really like the Paul and all that stuff. And I don't really know if I care about the Bene Gesserit enough, because I really don't like the Bene Gesserit. This is the movie where you realize that the Bene Gesserit are really bad and you shouldn't like them. And his mom makes me mad too. They're all just really controlling. And that's what's cool about it, is that Paul isn't bad because Paul just becomes corrupted. Paul is bad because other people manipulate him into becoming what they want him to be. And that is the lisan gaib. And it's really interesting. It makes interesting points about, if there actually is destiny or if it's just something we manufacture. My mother always makes fun of my dad and says he's the king of self-fulfilled prophecy. Technically, the king of that, or the queen of that, would be Paul Atreides' mother. Yeah, the whole cast killed it. I loved Austin Butler's Fade Ratha. I wanted him to be in the movie way more because I absolutely ate up his performance. Thought it was great. Absolutely wild, though, when I read that his kiss between him and Skarsgård was improvised. Also, Stellan Skarsgård, obviously, it's been said before, just good in everything. I've never seen anybody hate on Stellan Skarsgård because he's just good in every movie he's in. But Austin Butler was really the takeaway from this one to me. I was like, you were so good as Fade Ratha. And Fade Ratha, probably my favorite character in the whole movie. Not in the sense that I think he's a good guy. He obviously is very much not. But he was just so immensely entertaining that I was blown away. I wish he was in it more. I do think it was a bit of an overreaction. People said that he was as good as Heath Ledger's Joker. That is not the case. He would have to have been in it a little more to do that for me. He was probably in it for like a total of 15 to 20 minutes. But boy, were those 15, 20 minutes exciting. I absolutely loved seeing him on screen. He was so entertaining. And I'm really sad that he dies. I have no concerns giving out spoilers right now, being as the movie has been out for over 2 weeks. So it's kind of good, I guess, that it's really fallen all into place that I recorded this like 16 days after my last one. It's really worked out. But yeah, it's Dune Part 2 is everything I wanted it to be. And it's going to be hard for it to be a better movie this year. But I got to admit, this year is looking like a hell of a year for movies. Because in other news, we're getting the reviews for that Monkey Man movie, and it's apparently awesome. So I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued by this. Keeping an eye out on that, because I'm like, I might have to go see that. And Civil War reviews are coming in. People are going nuts for Civil War. I think that movie could be good. I mean, Jesse Plemons is all good and everything, so that could be interesting. And obviously we got Mad Max Furiosa, which is going to be epic. Probably the best odds of being the best movie from the year. But what has the best odds of being my favorite movie of the year is The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, which comes out in about a month and a half. So I'm very excited for that. And then the summer movies, I actually will say we are not as packed on summer movies. Like I actually feel like a lot of the movies that look really interesting are coming out like right now to like June. The summer movies are, there's that new Ghostbusters, but that I have no intention of seeing. And the Godzilla Kong movie I have no intention of seeing. So if you're into that, those are coming out. But then we got Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare, which is going to be great because it's Guy Ritchie. I did watch the entire Gentleman Guy Ritchie show. It was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing ever. It's not as good as the movie, but it was pretty fun. I watched it in like 3 days because I was on spring break, and I was like, let's watch all of this. Challengers, I already said, is going to end up being a big hit. I just know it. So keep an eye out for that. But those both come out in April, so I'm saying there's a lot. Oh, I forgot that. And then, so we got the Garfield movie. That comes out in May. Then we got that Crow remake. I don't know about that one. I don't know if I'll be seeing that. Anything big in June? I think June is actually when they're releasing The Hitman on Netflix. The movie with Glenn Powell. So that will be like the big June movie for me. But I wish there was more big stuff in June. As far as July goes, the new Twister movie looks pretty great, actually. And I'm pretty excited for Deadpool and Wolverine, gotta admit. Okay, yeah, this is actually shaping up to be a pretty strong year for movies. Now, granted, the only way to be a strong year for movies is you have to have stuff come out of the woodwork to be really good. That's the thing. And we gotta randomly have something just be absolutely banger. So that's the goal. At some point, I gotta watch Ricky Stenicki. I was actually pretty intrigued by that. I haven't watched it yet, so I gotta at some point check that out. But, yeah, Dune Part 2. What else can I say? I think I hit everything I wanted to say. It was more. There was more action in the first one, and it's not that I needed more action, but I kind of loved it. I kind of loved the action. I just think the plot's more interesting in this one. The first one is a lot of Paul and his journey. Not journey, I wouldn't say. Paul and everything going on with his family and everything falling apart. That was really the first one, in a nutshell. A little bit of cutaways, the Harkonnens. Whereas in this one, it's like you got the Harkonnens, you got the Bene Gesserits are doing, you got Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken being in the movie was just completely out of nowhere. That was wild. Didn't even know he was in it. Anya Taylor-Joy, I actually went to the bathroom and was like scrolling on my phone as I went to the bathroom during the movie, and I saw that Anya Taylor-Joy was in the movie. It was like inside how Anya Taylor-Joy, was kept a secret from Dune 2. And then I was like, oh, she's going to be Paul's sister. Okay. And I sat down in the movie theater, and then when she came on screen, my mother turned to me and goes, oh, did you know she was in this? And I went, no. And after the movie, I was like, I actually did, but I wasn't going to explain earlier that when I went to the bathroom, I learned that. So, you can tell by his sister, she's got bad vibes. She's going to be doing crazy shit. So I'm scared of her. Also, Anya Taylor-Joy could have an absolute nuts year because Anya Taylor-Joy could be Anya Taylor-Joy she is in this, and she is in Mad Max Furiosa, and so like she could be in 2 of the best movies of the year. As far as this movie and the Oscars next year, whoo-wee, it's going to be tough to beat this movie. This movie is really good, but I am a little concerned they're going to do the Lord of the Rings treatment on it and just kind of wait till Messiah to give it all its flowers. But I would love to see it get its flowers twice. Why not? Come on, baby. That'd be great. All right, let's go. As far as Dune Part 2 goes, before we talk about the Oscars, I got to wrap this up. Let me just say that it is, right now, the best movie I watched that was a 2024 release. Is the best movie I've watched overall this year? Maybe. I really like this universe. I thought it was cool when I watched part 1. I wanted it to become a cultural phenomenon. It is. It's just a fun. It's really fun when there's like a sci-fi series that everybody's into. Like everybody thinks is cool, and you can talk to people about. And it's fun that people know what lisan gaib means when I say it. That's fun for me. I mean, I know it sounds dumb that it's like, oh, well, it's popular, so now I like it more. And it's not like that. It's just, it's fun when the thing I like, usually it gets annoying when the thing you like gets popular. But there's something about when it's a sci-fi movie that when it gets popular, you're kind of like, hell yeah. Hell yeah, now it's cool. Because it's so odd and it's so weird that you never thought it could be that popular. And so now, like, when people are, like, online, chanting lisan gaib, but like a pro athlete, I don't know which one it was, but I saw a video of it. I'm like, hell yeah. I don't know. Usually, when my favorite athletes get too popular, I'm like, and run away. When it's a sci-fi movie, I'm like, let's go, baby. Let's go. But yeah, the third one is going to be probably the best one. But in between that, we're going to get Cleopatra from Denis Villeneuve. This dude does not stop cooking. And he's also making that Rendezvous with Rama movie, which I looked up the Rendezvous with Rama. It was less than 300 pages, and I was like, boom, instant buy. I'm like, I'm going to see that. Denis is probably the second best filmmaker in the world right now. I think he's right after Nolan. Rumor is that Nolan's next movie is, oh my gosh, it's like this remake. I saw this tweet the other day about it. I'm going to pull it up really quick because it's important what Nolan's next film is going to be. The rumor is Nolan's next movie is going to be a remake of the 1960s TV series The Prisoner. It follows an agent who resigns from a job but is kidnapped to a mysterious seaside village full of captives and constant surveillance. I could see him doing it. Whatever he does, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely banging. So I got full faith in Christopher Nolan. Let's talk about the Oscars, because Christopher Nolan won Best Director, Oppenheimer won Best Picture. A lot of awards handed out. This is the first Oscars I actually watched, and I greatly enjoyed. It was a great time. And if I ever get famous enough I get to host it, I'm going to make a joke about how this was the first Oscars I watched, and afterwards all I could think about was how much I wish I could go to the after parties and hang out with Ryan Gosling, Robert Downey Jr., and Margot Robbie, because that would be an awesome trio to hang out with and chat. Like, that would just be the most fun. I feel like Robert Downey Jr. should have hosted the show, though, because he is literally, like, the coolest dude in Hollywood. Like, he is the homecoming king of Hollywood. Like, when he went up and accepted his Oscar, well-deserved Oscar for Best Supporting Actor from Oppenheimer, he was like, hey, nice job, guys. Flubbed up a couple lines, but you did good. Like, talking to the guys behind him. Like, everybody laughed, and everybody was just like, I was like, everybody here loves Robert. Like, everybody here just thinks he's the coolest guy ever, as they should, for what it's worth. And I'm like, this is just wild to me. Like, he is, like, the guy. And I love that for him. He's got to be the star of the biggest movie franchise of all time. And then 4 years later, wins an Oscar for an absolute elite performance in what's going to be remembered as one of the best movies of the decade. Like, when people look back in the 2020s, it's going to be the movie, which is so good that this movie was a cultural phenomenon, because that's so cool. It's so much fun when there's a movie that everybody's seen. Like, I'm talking about Dune Part 2. Obviously, more people have seen Oppenheimer than Dune Part 2, I will admit. But it's fun when a lot of people have seen, like, a movie that's, just in general, it's fun when everybody's seen, like, the same movie and is like, oh, the part in Oppenheimer where you can make jokes and analogies with it. That just makes it so much fun. I just enjoy that so much. And yeah, I mean, it's like the two coolest people in Hollywood that, like, everybody likes, Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling, were both in attendance, and both were easily the two charismatic people in the building. Like, when Robert Downey Jr., they showed him all the time. And even when Jimmy Kimmel was making fun of him, and I was like, Jimmy, cut it out. You can tell Robert is not laughing. That made me mad. I was like, I didn't think Jimmy did that bad. Like, I'm not a big Jimmy Kimmel guy, really not. But I didn't think he was heinous. But the Robert Downey Jr. jokes, I was like, come on, dude. John Mulaney, my boy, he should host next year because he killed it. His jokes he made were funny about Field of Dreams. That made me laugh. And when he quoted Madam Web, that was hilarious. That was so good. I was so happy he did that. That was so funny. But Ryan Gosling, the highlight of the show for me was easily Ryan Gosling performing I'm Just Ken. Absolutely killed it. It was everything I wanted it to be. Even Martin Scorsese was having a good time. It was, oh my gosh, it was epic. That made the show for me. It really did. It really made the show for me. I'm a little upset Across Spider-Verse lost Best Animated Feature, but I understand why they went with The Boy and the Heron. People go nuts for that movie, and Miyazaki, I get it. Like, he's like the best animated director of all time. I get it. I really do. Or writer. I think he writes and directs. I don't know a lot about Studio Ghibli. I really don't. Or Ghibli, however you say it. I've never watched any of their movies. I know about Spirited Away. I know my neighbor Totoro is. I think there's one about a fish. I know their food scenes are always supposed to be crazy cool. That's really all I know. I know The Boy and the Heron is called How Do You Live in its original language. But that's really all I know. I know Robert Pattinson's in it, but I guess I knew more than I thought. But I do know it's supposed to be really good. So I understood when it won, but I was a little disappointed because I love Across Spider-Verse. And then on top of that, was a little disappointed. I'm Just Ken didn't win the Oscar. I get What Was I Made For has a little more substance to it. And I think Ryan Gosling honestly wanted What Was I Made For to win instead of I'm Just Ken because it's like the meaningful song. But, I mean, damn, when he was performing that song, it was the most fun thing ever. It was so much fun. And that's really what made the show for me. And I was like, that was a great show. Really enjoyed it. And I think I watched the performance like 4 or 5 times again on YouTube. It's a really fun performance. All right, let's wrap it up with some ramblings, reels, and writings. Oh, by the way, I'll probably watch the Oscars again next year because I had such a great time. Like, honestly, I probably will watch it again. I really enjoyed it. And also the right movie won Best Picture. Just wanted to say that. I mean, Oppenheimer was obviously the best pick. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year, but it definitely is an amazing movie. So, all right. I do have to say, very upset. The Batman Part 2 has been delayed to 2026. I saw some people say this is because they're going to try to make it DCU. I hope that's not the case because I'm actually pretty excited about the idea of having 2 Batmans. One that is what I've always wanted, which is a detective Batman that he's nailed. Matt Reeves is absolutely nailed with the Batman. And then one being the second Batman movie that I've always wanted, which is like the Bat family and all that. Because I didn't realize how much I wanted that until James Gunn announced it. And I was like, whoa, wait. I didn't realize how much I needed this. And that's why I bought that Batman by Grant Morrison, was literally because I was like, whoa, I think I need this. And I was like, so I bought the comic that they're going to take a lot of stuff from. I bought the Batman Grant Morrison Omnibus. Anyways, the comics they're going to be taking from is a lot of the Grant Morrison stuff, which makes sense. Great writer. But right now I've been reading Swamp Thing in preparation for when they make that movie. It's really good, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. It's been really good. But Batman Part 2 being delayed is quite upsetting. But they did announce they're making a Teen Titans movie. And that's, I mean, does he just want to make me happy? Because he's making a Superman movie. He's making a Batman movie that's got a great pitch. He's making a Swamp Thing movie, which I didn't think how excited I'd be. But now I really am. So reading these Swamp Thing comics, and oh man, they're good. And now he's making a Teen Titans movie, which basically means we're getting a Nightwing movie. Because Nightwing is going to probably be in the Teen Titans, so that will be pretty awesome. And I'm hoping we can get a Nightwing solo movie at some point. Or he just nails Nightwing and makes him like borderline the main character of the Teen Titans movie. I mean, I kind of like Star-Lord from the Guardians, where it's like, yeah, it's an ensemble, but also like he's the main guy. I would kind of like for Nightwing to be the main guy, because Nightwing's my boy. I did make a YouTube short saying that Jacob Elordi should be cast as Nightwing. And then a couple days later, he announced Teen Titans movie. So James Gunn, if you follow me secretly, I can play plastic, man. We can do my hair black, or I can just, make it blonde. Or if you haven't cast Booster Gold yet, I would love it. I understand I have to put on a lot of muscle for that, but I think I could do Booster Gold right. I think I could do him justice. Being serious. Let me know. But yeah, I'm willing to bet the next thing he announces. All right, I'm actually throw out a crazy thing, and we'll see if James Gunn's going to follow orders. It'd be if he announces a New Gods movie. New Gods or Mr. Miracle, like one of those two. I would be quite shocked if he announced that. That's a development. That would be insane. Like, honestly, nuts. If he said, like, yeah, we're going to do New Gods, or that's just not what I expect early on. Especially given everything else, like, that's transpired. Like, I don't think they want to do New Gods, and, like, you got to introduce Darkseid, obviously. And then it's like, but he's not like a Justice League villain, which most people can, associate him being a Justice League villain. But it's like, then you have him the new guy. It'd be a lot. But maybe Mr. Miracle. A Mr. Miracle movie would be pretty sweet. I mean, we'll see. We will have to see. I didn't make that weird of a pick. I could have said like OMAC or Metal Men. Oh man, I'm getting in my bag right now of DC characters. Anything else I want to talk about other than the fact I'm very upset about Batman being delayed? That honestly broke my heart. That's so long. 2.5 years. Goodness. Over spring break, I read 1984 by George Orwell, and I read All-Star Superman. 1984 was absolutely amazing. Really enjoyed it. Really like how it's a really cool dystopian novel, and then after 90 pages, it becomes a romance for the next 40 pages. I loved it. It was great. Really enjoyed it. Finished Pronto by Elmer Leonard. I don't know what my favorite Elmer Leonard book is. It's tough. It's really tough. I really like Maximum Bob. First one I ever read by him, that was a full novel. I still have a soft spot for Fire in the Hole because it was the first thing I ever read by him because it was a bunch of short stories. And I really like that short story collection. It's very good. Get Shorty is the one that was very me. It's about a gangster going to Hollywood, and I loved that. But Pronto was really good too, and it was really fun to read an entire story, just Raylan Givens in it. And I don't know, it's tough. I don't know what my favorite Elmer Leonard novel is. The next one I'm probably going to read is going to be Out of Sight. Very excited for that, because then I finally get to watch a movie with George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez in it, and that'll just be super fun. Can't wait for that. And it's directed by Steven Soderbergh, so that's hype. But All-Star Superman, one of my favorite comics I've ever read. I read it in 2 days. It's the most perfect Superman comic I've ever read, and as somebody who loves to read good Superman stuff and watch good Superman stuff, oh my gosh, nailed Superman. The moment I realized Grant Morrison had absolutely nailed it was when Superman he clearly wants to propose to Lois, but Lois just falls asleep because he had such a big day, and he just never does. He's just like, oh, okay. It just didn't work out timing-wise, and, I missed the moment I wanted to do it. And that's just the most Superman thing ever. Where he's like, he was going to propose, but because the moment didn't line up right, he literally got too nervous and just never proposed. I was like, that's Superman for you. And that's what I was like, he nailed it. Like, he honestly nailed Superman. And I really, really loved that. So that was great. All-Star Superman, absolutely excellent. But yeah, everything I read lately has been really good. Because I read Swamp Thing right now. It's been great. As far as TV goes, just watched... I mentioned I watched The Gentleman. It was good. Starting Shogun. I've been enjoying it, but I'm only like 30 minutes into the first episode. Bachelor has been absolutely great this season. I'm very excited to see it end. Still have Daisy winning. Been hearing rumors that Kelsey A wins, and I would not be happy with that because I would really like for Daisy to win. And not just because I picked Daisy from the first episode, because I just think she's the best fit for Joey. But if you want me to start a whole new podcast where I just watch The Bachelor and talk about it, let me know. Because I could do it. We could go from Bachelor to Bachelorette to Golden Bachelor to Golden Bachelorette. We could just go all the year round, just talk about it every week, and take breaks whenever there's no episodes. I'm serious. We could do it. Whew. We really want to. Started Shogun, and then today I watched the new episode of Invincible because we got 4 more episodes, and then the season wraps up. So I watched the 5th episode today. It was really good. Very excited just for everything they're doing in Invincible. It's just like the best. It's so good. Invincible is incredible. But yeah, that's really all I'm doing. We'll see. Maybe I'll see Monkey Man. Maybe I'll see Civil War in April. We'll see. But I know I'm going to go see Ministry of Ungentlemanly Welfare. Very excited for that. But I think that's all from me. Next week we'll be talking March Madness. Super excited. Super excited. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. Excited to be back into March Madness. March Madness is always a great time. And I believe that's all from me. So thanks for listening. And I will catch you all in the next one. I try to always end the podcast by saying something. I was going to say lisan gaib, but I don't know if that's really the best way to end. I should just do like the Dune, like screech thing they do, like it's like when the music goes like boom, 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 and it's like, way yeah.